Pet Life Radio.
This is Pet Life Radio. Let's talk pets.
Hello, feline friends. This is Michelle Fern, your host on Cattitude. I am going to welcome back today she's just a fabulous person overall. She's done so much for the cat world, and she's educated so many of us, and I'm thrilled to be talking to her again. Stay tuned. Don't move. We'll be right back.
Take a bite out of your competition. Advertise your business with an ad in Pet Life Radio podcasts and radio shows. There's no other pet-related media that is as large and reaches more pet parents and pet lovers than Pet Life Radio. With over 7 million monthly listeners, Pet Life Radio podcasts are available on all major podcast platforms. And our live radio stream goes out to over 250 million subscribers on iHeartRadio, radio.com, TuneIn, Stitcher, and other streaming apps. For more information on how you can advertise on the #1 pet podcast and radio network, visit PetLifeRadio.com/advertise today.
Let's Talk Pets on PetLifeRadio.com.
Welcome back, everyone. I'd like to welcome back Anita Kelsey. She is an author, cat behaviorist, and holistic groomer. We talked to Anita, a couple years ago. She wrote a book called Claws, which was really interesting about all kinds of grooming stories. And now she's written a book called Let's Talk About Cats. Welcome, Anita.
Oh, thank you, Michelle. Thank you for having me on.
I'm so delighted to have you on. You know, when I read Claws, that book I thought it was great, interesting and funny and horrifying, some of the things you went through. And I didn't think you could top it, but this book is really good. I mean, interesting, so informative. Before we talk about all the details, though, can you tell everybody who didn't catch that first interview a little about you?
Yeah, so I live in London, UK. And I work with cats every day. So I'm a cat groomer. So I work in people's homes. And I also studied behaviour. So I'm a cat behaviourist. So I work with people in their homes that are having some issues with their cats. And then my first book was Claws, Confessions of a Professional Cat Groomer. And this is my second book, Let's Talk About Cats.
What made you decide to write this book?
Well, so I was looking for a follow-up to Claws, but I wanted to do something different. And this book has been a real process. Initially, it was a book of interviews because I was interested in cat professionals and the lives of the cat professionals. So it started off with a blog about interviewing different people and really getting into the lives of those people. And then I decided that this is really interesting. So let's write a book about the lives of the people. And then when the book was signed to a literary agent, they wanted it more specific about answering cat questions. And so the whole book was then edited again to kind of hone in on questions about cats rather than the lives of the people. So it's been through a lot of changes, this book, to get to the final version.
I think it's really good. And I've had a lot of cat books on Cattitude. So I don't say that lightly. Otherwise, I would just say, yeah, it's a good book and blah, blah, blah. But I read it all, and I read a lot on, just books in general. I'm a reader. I've always been a reader my entire life. And I just found this hard to put down. It's interesting. I have 6 cats. I love cats. I'm not a crazy cat person, but I'm kind of a little bit, into cats, obviously.
Yeah.
But this book is it's for all kinds of cat people, whether you are thinking about adopting a cat, whether you're curious about cats, whether you're a cat, a cat enthusiast, everything is about you is cats. And I mean, I can't think of anyone who just, if you say the word cat, they go, oh yeah, that wouldn't be interested. It's very interesting. Let's talk about the format because that's unique too. How did you come up with the format? I know you said they wanted a revision from the first version, but the format keeps it very interesting too.
Yeah, I mean, this is very hard to, I mean, initially, so again, the people in the book, there was a rotation of people because this book, it was a lot of problems getting this book together. And some people pulled out at the last minute. Some people were too busy. Some people weren't completing the interviews. So, but really, I'm really happy with the people we ended up with because it just sheds a whole light on so many different areas of cats. And so initially, I had to really change the format from the lives of the people to answering a specific question. So unfortunately, I had to let go of some interviews because they weren't necessarily answering a particular question about cats. It was more about their lives. So some people, sadly, I had to let go. And then other people like Jackson, I was able to hone in on particular. I mean, Jackson Galaxy's interview, as well as everybody, they were very, very long interviews about the lives of the people. And then I just honed in on particular questions that I asked that were really, really interesting, so that each chapter answers a particular question. So,
well, I like also that the chapters, like you said, it answers a particular question. And then you go into the detail of, about the person, like, questions about their life and their relationship with cats and what they do and so forth. You have a little summary, but then you bring it home with like a personal story.
Yeah, so how that came about is because the literary agent actually said that there wasn't enough of me in the book. There wasn't enough of my voice in the book. And so once again, the book grew from just being interviews with the people and the contributors answering a question to then a following chapter where I put my own personal take on things or say a little story. So that's how that came about. So it's been a process. This book has changed in so many different ways over the 3 years. And I'm really happy that they suggested that because I think that we've got a really perfect balance of shining a light on other professionals and then my take on things as well. I'd just like to say that I'm really interested in the experiences of other professionals, which is why I wanted to write this book in the first place, because I'm really interested in different people's perspectives and learning from them too.
What I think is really interesting is that it's not just basic cat people or basic cat information. It goes into some kind of, very unique people in the cat world, such as, someone that talks to cats telepathically. The subject is, can cats communicate telepathically? Yes. Then you have, if cats are grieving, then you have also great basics of behavior. Why does my cat scratch furniture? Which I would like to figure that one out too. That one I found really good. Cats and music, all the way to, can cats be therapy pets? So it covers just a vast amount.
It does. I think it does. I think it's quite a unique book in that sense. And really all the subjects, that they're things that I was interested in to begin with, because I didn't just want to write a typical basic cat behavior book, because it's just not me. I like to kind of get into lots of different interesting things about cats. So I know that there's a lot of cat behavior books already out there. So the reason why I've been avoiding writing a book on behavior is because there's lots out there already. So I really needed a different take on our cats and something to be unique, really. And I think this is.
This definitely is. And I learned a lot. I mean, there's even a book on how to touch your cat, which, I first had dogs. You're used to dogs. They are different, animal, way different than cats. And their touch is different. And I had to learn that. And I thought I knew, but no, I learned a lot more, which was really interesting. All right, we're going to take a short break, and then I want to know your favorites, which might be hard because it's like your baby. So we'll be right back after this break. Molly, here's your dinner. Zeus, that's not your food.
Don't let that happen to your precious cat. Elevate your cat's eating experience with the Cat Tree Tray.
The cat tree tray keeps your cat's food off the floor and conveniently located on the cat tree. It's the perfect way to eat. It's a beautiful wrought iron tray that easily attaches to your cat tree and keeps dogs and other critters out of your cat's dish. A must for multi-pet households. There's a 6-inch tray for large bowls and a 4-inch tray for smaller bowls. Purchase your cat tree tray today. Go right now to cattreetray.com. That's cattreetray.com. CATTREETRAY.com.
Let's talk pets
Let's talk pets
on Pet Life Radio.
Pet Life Radio.
PetLifeRadio.com.
Welcome back, everyone. We're talking to Anita Kelsey about her new book, Let's Talk About Cats. So, Anita, if you can, or maybe not your favorite sections, but the people that you interviewed that were the most interesting, or I know it's hard to play favorites.
Yeah, that's gonna be really hard because I was inspired by every single one. It was just amazing to talk to all of them. I learned things from talking to them, and it was great hearing different people's perspectives. So, I mean, I guess if I've one of my favorites is not actually someone who works professionally with cats, but it was Mohammed Ali Al-Jaya.
That's one of mine too. I have 3, and that man is unbelievable what he's gone through, what he's done.
And there's a little story.
Tell our listeners, because you know it way better than I do. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I mean, so he runs. He's basically in Syria rescuing cats during the war, and he's just an amazing man. He's got a book out at the moment as well, so I plug his book in my book as well. But he kind of became a sensation through. He was one of the White Helmets, which was also just ordinary people going into buildings that had been bombed, rescuing the humans from that situation. So I think from that, I kind of knew about his story from a news report on the White Helmets. And then as I started to delve deeper into him as a person, I realized that he was also rescuing cats as well. What I'd like to say about that chapter is initially the reason why that chapter ended back in my book again as a bonus chapter is because my literary agent couldn't get this book signed, sadly, to any publishing company. None of the publishers over in the UK were interested. So when my literary agent just said that she couldn't really take me or the book any further, I was able to put this chapter back in because initially that chapter was taken out of the book. So I'm thrilled that it's gone back in the book again.
It's an unbelievable story. I mean, here's a man that's lost his home with the war and the bombings and everything. And he's still out there rescuing cats, helping people, and rebuilding and rebuilding. He's just an amazing person. And you had a translator, which makes it a little bit more challenging too.
It was. I mean, it took about, and I'd like to say he lost his family as well. When his family left Syria, he stayed behind, which caused complications with his family as well. So, it took great courage. I mean, it was, I can't really begin to describe how that must have felt to kind of stay behind because you wanted to rescue so many cats when your family was leaving Syria as well. So, and the interpreter, I found the interpreter over here, and there were big complications with the interpreter because obviously there's time differences. There's a war going on in Syria. So the interview took about a month and a half to actually come together, and it was very difficult for Mohammed and my interpreter, Rana Hapel, to actually even get their times, coinciding with one another because of what was going on. It was very dangerous for him to even find a place where he could talk to her as well. So it was amazing we actually got that interview.
You read that chapter and you just think about how much you take for granted. Globally, everybody's gone through a little bit of a hard time with some people, a great deal of difficulty with COVID. So it's been tough. Yeah. But then you read this and it puts things in perspective.
I think for some people, they just have a destiny. And I think that this man proves it, that he just had a destiny that he had to fulfill. I can't describe it in any other way, really.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. Absolutely. I'm going to tell you about, because I could pick favorites even.
Oh, go on then.
even if it's hard for you. There's 2 sections that I just learned so much about. Can cats communicate telepathically?
Yes.
And, I kind of consider myself somewhat spiritual, and I do think there's things like, telepathic communication. I think that you sometimes get signs from things just come to you. Things happen for a reason. You can get signs and all of that. So I do believe that. But I never considered that you could communicate with your cat telepathically once you're trained.
Yeah. Well, it was really interesting talking to Penelope, because that is a learning, and that's something that she's got naturally that she can do. And obviously what I do is very differently from telepathy with animals. So I don't necessarily communicate with animals the same way that she does. So it was interesting listening to her and the different way that we work with cats as well, because I truly believe in that too. I believe that some people have a gift and they can communicate with animals. I don't communicate with animals in the same way as Penelope, and that's why that was just really, really fascinating for me to hear how she does it and the feelings that she gets and how she describes it as well.
I think anyone that can truly understand and communicate however they do with cats has some magic, because they're not easy to read. It's not like reading a dog. It's just not. And it's not that it's good or bad. It's just different.
It's just different. And exactly. I think
different.
You put it on the head. Yeah.
That chapter really hit home to me to say, respect the cat as the cat, who the cat is, how they are. And what makes it harder for me is my first cat that I found is Maine Coon mix. And they're kind of like the dog of the cat world. You can treat them like, I know cats are not dogs, but you can treat him like a dog, and he responds. He was raised with the Havanese. He's just, have you heard that about Maine Coons?
I have, about how they kind of follow you around, and they're very dog-like in their mannerisms as well.
Right. So he begs like a dog. You can rough him up. He still has his cat self. So coming from that, and then having cats that were really cats, I needed to learn some things, and I did get a few swipes in learning some things. But that section was really interesting and gave me this is interesting to learn. And I wish I had the skill to telepathically communicate to one of my cats, who I think is very stressed. But.
Well, I think also it's the reason why I really wanted Penelope in the book is it's a very little known world, as the communicating with animals. Not many people really know the ins and outs of it or understand what that is. So I think that she really, really sheds light on that, and I think that's important. So I think that chapter is really, really fascinating. And like I say, it's kind of different with how I work with animals, because I would never profess to being able to communicate with animals and read their thoughts, but so I work with them in a different way. But the whole point of this book was understanding different people's perspectives and how they work. So it was great, that chapter.
And to kind of go to my third section that I thought was really interesting, because as I just confessed, my Dennis is Maine Coon and he's kind of a little dog-like. I needed to learn this again and get the information and just really absorb it. How to touch your cat. The chapter with Sarah Fisher was really informative. And I had just had an interview not that long ago on Cattitude where I asked the question, and it was a veterinarian I was talking to, is why are cats so open to letting you touch their face, which, we as humans think of that as a vulnerable part, but their back is off limits.
Yeah, well, it's a very sensitive area, the back, and along the back and along the tail are quite sensitive areas for cats. But the reason why I wanted Sarah Fisher in the book to talk about the T-touch as well is because it's very common for cats not to like being touched. So I think people, they get pets because obviously you want to touch your pets, you want them to be lap cats. You've got a perception of how you want them to be, but many cats don't like that tactileness, and they don't like to be overly touched. So I think it's important that we remember that to just respect that particular cat. So if you do have a cat that doesn't like being touched, you have to respect that. I have so many clients that want to change the cat to kind of suit what their idea of a pet should be. And once they realize that you can actually get a very fantastic bond if they have a cat that doesn't like being touched, if you just respect that, you'll get far, far closer with your cat. So I think that chapter was really important.
I absolutely agree. And I think I'm going to have a better bond with Molly because of it.
Right. Oh, wonderful. Yeah, because I think that as well, I think that I've managed to teach people with the cats that don't like being touched. Actually, it's a huge honor if they just join you in your space. That should be enough for you. With some people, obviously, with some other people, there has been, I must say, there has been a few rehoming situations because the person just could not live with a cat that doesn't like being touched, and they really, really wanted a lap cat. So obviously they got the wrong cat for their situation. So then we have to find a home where somebody's going to respect the cat's wishes. So there has been several of those, but most people just understand that the bond can be much, much stronger if you just kind of step back from your expectations of what a pet should be.
I absolutely agree. And like I said, from me, just because Dennis is all, about vigorous back rubs and belly rubs, and you can pick him up and whatever. Molly, on the other hand, if she lets me touch her face, if she sits next to me, I feel honored. So that's how she is. It's not bad. That's how she is.
Yeah, exactly. So I think you've got the right attitude, and it's just with some people, they just have to realize that it's not all about them. The pet isn't just there for them. Your cat isn't just there to be an ornament. You have to respect what they are as an individual.
Don't you want to tell these people, some people are huggers, some people are not huggers. Same with your cats. Some people have a mindset, and it is what it is. But there's also some other great chapters about how you should feed your cat, what you can do to prevent, misbehavior like scratching furniture. Kate Benjamin is in here. Just so much, just chock full of all kinds of interesting things about cats.
No, I'm thrilled. Jackson's I'm a huge fan of Jackson and of Kate as well. And so it was a real honor to talk to Jackson because, we have a few different ways of looking at things, because obviously I know that in the US, people mainly keep their cats in certain areas, whereas over here, our cats are mainly free roaming unless you've got like a breed of cat. So there was a few areas that we disagreed on, but we mainly think very much the same way. So it was great talking to him. Very lovely, warm person.
He's great. I love him. I've had him on the show twice. I've been fortunate to meet him at there's a big, huge pet expo, which I don't know about next year, but we normally go every year. We've gone for 10 years. Global Pet Expo. And I've been lucky enough to speak with him twice there. He's just a great guy.
He is.
And I'm glad guy. He's done a lot in the US for the whole world of cats.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it was amazing. In fact, I think the majority of the contributors to this book are from the US.
How did that happen? I noticed now that you said that, I'm like, yeah, there were quite a few from.
Yeah, there's quite a few.
Well, there's a lot of cats here.
Yeah.
I mean, the biggest thing now is I've done so much on TNR and, rescue, and there's so much of a push towards that I really think it's not a new, movement, but with COVID and people working from home and being lonely, there's been so much adoption, and hopefully there are not returns, because that drives me nuts. That's big faux pas.
I didn't think of that. That must be quite. So what's happening over there with the TNT programs then?
Well, a lot of TNR programs are just kind of self-run. Amazon recently did a special on. It was called, I think, the Cat Rescuers. And I had Sassy Walker on my show, and I knew her from the internet, and I thought, this woman is amazing. But there's a lot of small rescuers that just start out where they're rescuing one or two, and then they'll find the different colonies of cats and they'll teach others to trap. And it just grows like that because there's just areas where there's just a ton of cats. The community I moved into, that's where I had one cat. Now I have 6. So that's where that grew from, because Mama had 2. She had 2 litters before I could get her fixed, and I had to hire someone. So I think there's so much awareness, with what Hannah Shaw is doing, with Amazon, with the cat rescuers, with Instagram, what people are doing. So I think that is where it's starting. And there's a lot of push towards, you don't have to do everything. Just do your part. Do something.
Yeah. But I feel like with the cat, there's a huge, I call it like an universal community really with cat people. I think that cat people, just like across all the countries, we're just all united really in how we feel about cats and how we want to help them. So, because I've even noticed, like on Facebook, if somebody puts up that they need help in a certain area, there will be other people getting on board to try and find them the help. So there's just that community. We're all connected.
Exactly. There's a lot of that. There's a lot of small rescues. And I think it's even more so with cats than dogs because of how cats are so independent, where they can survive on the streets longer than dogs. And, the mama cats have litters so much more frequently, and they just grow and grow. And the alternative you don't want to think about, so we have to do something. You're right. Social media has done a lot to help it grow. It's done a lot to help the small TNR rescuers make it so that their means are greater so that they can afford to help these, injured cats. With as many that are adopted, there's still so many that are abandoned, not just growing up on the streets, but just abandoned. So it's getting a lot better.
It's such a huge country. There's only so much that you can do because, and unfortunately with your kind of kill shelters out there, it must be heartbreaking because I don't think we have that over here. Not that I know anyway. So, it must be heartbreaking to know that you can only do so much to rescue so many.
I was listening to Jackson had recently had his virtual cat camp because he, couldn't have a regular cat camp because of COVID. And he and Hannah were taking questions. And Hannah Shaw said, she's also, you know Hannah Shaw as well, right? You've heard of her.
To be honest, I don't think I've heard of her name, but maybe I know her face. Is she the kitten lady?
Yes, the kitten lady, yes.
Yes, I have heard of her, yeah.
And she had some really good thoughts with all this rescue. She said, what's important is that find a niche that's yours and just do your part with that. It's overwhelming to think you can handle the whole process. And her niche just fell into taking care of kittens. And that's where that is. So it makes sense because when you start to do all of it, it's overwhelming and emotionally as well.
I totally agree with her. You just find a section that interests you, that you've got a real passion about, and then that's where you help in that section because you can't do everything. So she's amazing, actually. I do follow her on Instagram. But I know her as the kitten lady. I didn't know.
Yes, the kitten lady. And she also has some great blogs or vlogs, video interviews that are great. Yeah. And oh my gosh, it's adorable. It's kittens, but what she's done with some that are covered in fleas and this and oh my gosh. Oh. I have not had her on my show. I would love to though. But let's talk more about your book. Where can people find your book? It's called Let's Talk About Cats. It is a book for anyone at all that's interested in cats. Makes a great gift for a new cat mom or cat dad. It's just chock full of great information.
Well, at the moment, so as you know, or I'm not sure if you do know, but it's a self-published book. So I'm out there on my own on a limb. And at the moment, it's just on Amazon. So you can get it on Amazon US and Amazon UK. Yeah, so on Amazon.
Like everything, find it on Amazon.
Yeah.
That's a good place. Everybody has access to it. Who is the cat on the cover?
Well, that was just a design. It's like a stock image. So I had a designer do the book cover, and she just got that from, I think it's called Photostock. So, yeah, because I think we just decided to go for, I think my photographs of cats, they were a little bit fussy, some of them. And so she decided to just go for quite a plain stock image that would go with the colour scheme of the book.
Well, he's a cutie. Or she's a cutie, whatever.
Yeah.
Well, whatever. Yeah. And before you go, tell me about your cats, because they're kind of, to me, it's an unusual breed. I mostly know mixed and tabbies and tuxedos and gingers, and that's about it.
Actually, before I do, I just want to say, so I have set up a Facebook group, the title of the book called Let's Talk About Cats, and I'll be running 5 cat photo competitions to give away a free copy of the book with some cat toys. So if anybody wants to head over to the Facebook page, Let's Talk About Cats, and then they just have to wait for me to put up the photo competitions. And it's become like a really lovely, nice cat community. Actually, it's grown. It's about 400 people now, and everyone's sharing photos of their cats and talking about cats. So that's a nice community. Just thought I'd put that in. So about my cats, there are 2 Norwegian forest
and
cats.
Where can people find you on Instagram too?
On Instagram is @catbehaviorist.
Okay.
And that's the same with Twitter as well, @catbehaviorist as well.
Okay, wonderful. And then tell me about your cats.
Oh, yeah. So 2 Norwegian forest cats called Kiki and Zaza. And they're both large white and silver cats. Yeah, they're absolutely gorgeous. They're age 12 now. So, but they're still doing really, really well. And they're the love of my life.
Wonderful. And by the way, for everyone listening, they're long-haired, right?
Yes.
Okay. And for everyone that's listening, to go back to the book, Anita also there's a chapter in there that actually explains how to brush your cat and groom your cat. So see, you need to get this book. It's called Let's Talk About Cats. We'll have also information on the Pet Life Radio page for this episode. And I know your cats are gorgeous, so I can't wait to see more pictures of them on social media. Anything else? Any tidbits for us people? We have people listening all over the world, but most of the people are here in the U.S. So I know, why don't you tell us, why are cats called moggies I think that's a better name. We just call them...
I'm not even sure why. I'm not even sure I know that myself. But I do know Mog is just short for cat over here. It's like slang for cat, and it just means ordinary moggy, so a non-breeded cat. That's what Mog means.
See, we just call them strays, so it doesn't sound as nice. Okay.
Well, it's not so much a stray. It's just a moggy is just like a non-breeded cat. So just a general normal cat rather than a specific breed. But I think just people head over to my Facebook, Let's Talk About Cats, because it's a huge, lovely, friendly community there, and everybody's just posting pictures of their cats. And I can't wait to put up the cat photo competitions and see everybody's moggies.
Okay, then. Well, thank you so much, Anita, for coming on Cattitude and telling us about your cats and your fabulous book, Let's Talk About Cats.
You. Michelle, I'm thrilled you like it. Thank you so much.
I think it's fabulous. And I know it's a big time difference, so thank you again.
Thank you. Good night.
Good night. Bye-bye. It's always a pleasure talking to Anita. And I know I've said it a few times, but I really, really like this book. It's called Let's Talk About Cats by Anita Kelsey, and you can find it on Amazon. It's so interesting. I'd like to thank my cat crew. Reading the book made me understand more about my cat crew, so it was wonderful. So thank you, Dennis and Molly and Charlotte, Sammy, Jeffro, and Jazz. Thanks to my guest, Anita, for coming on Cattitude. Thanks to everyone listening. This is a great book. Check it out, please. It's really good. And thanks to Mark Winter for making me and my guest sound great. Keep listening. We have a lot of great shows coming up.
Let's Talk Pets, every week on demand, only on PetLifeRadio.com.